All right, hello and good morning, and welcome to the second session of Impulse Drive, set in the Coriolis universe. Last time we got the basics of our crew set up and established and relationship built, and we talked about the setup for the game. Coriolis is a science fiction game from Free League Publishing. It uses the mutant system, which I quite like. I'm not as keen on the implementation of it in Coriolis, so we looked around to see what we could do. We found Impulse Drive, which is a PBTA game that I had a chance to play with Rich Rogers, where he used it for Star Wars, and we had a good time with that. I've done some work in adaptations on this. Doesn't exactly fit, so there were a lot of changes that had to be made because it is originally very much a sort of Firefly and Killjoys and that kind of game, but we made some changes, and we're going to see how well that works. Last time we set up our main characters, and we rolled into a job, a task, and we'll come back and explain what that involves here in a second. Before I go too much further, this session is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. The Gauntlet is an online gaming community. We have this coming weekend an online convention called Gauntlet Con. There are still seats and plenty of really interesting games there. And again, gauntlet-rpg.com, Patreon that supports the online sessions. It supports our monthly magazine. It supports our podcasts. But here we are playing this. Because this is a Gauntlet game, we do use safety tools, and our basic safety tool is the X card, which is used to mark out when we hit material that people are uncomfortable with, material they find problematic or objectionable, and people can mark that, and we can go back and edit past that, and we can move in a different direction. That is not a problem. The other tool that we use is lines and veils. At the start of the game, we set what things are lines, meaning material that we're not putting on screen, we're not doing, and veils, which are things that when we hit them, we fade to black on them during the course of the session. This is an evolving thing. We actually have a checklist in our spreadsheet here, and I've had players mark those, and later on during the thing, if they realize that there's something that has come up that they're going to be uncomfortable with, they can mark it there. But I'll go through very quickly what those lines and veils are. Right now, our lines are sexual assault, suicide, and torture. That's just not stuff that is part of our storyline here, not the tone that we're playing with. And then veils are eye injuries and harm to animals. Also, I forgot the other line is slavery. So that's one that is off the table here. So we have those things on. Again, that may change. We'll check in at the beginning of sessions here. Mechanical change that I made. One thing we talked about at the end of last session is the XP system here. And we eliminated the sort of end of session asking for a bunch of MVPs and assigning XP based on that. So one of the other things we did is the game, they have a mechanic where you have hooks, and when you engage with your hook, you may voluntarily say that the situation means that I'm acting with disadvantage. It is entirely your choice about that. Making that choice means there's a higher chance that you're going to miss a roll and then therefore be able to mark XP. In addition, at the end of the session, we're going to ask, did one or more of your hooks cause problems? And if they did, and it doesn't matter if you chose to use disadvantage with them or not, if they caused a problem, if they affected your choices or changed things or caused issues, you will get to mark an XP for that. So your hooks are always there for marking XPs. Sherry, if you're sending the cat tumbling around the room, you may want to mute since we can hear it. Just saying. But those are all there. And that, I think that gives us hooks have a little more weight without being a weirdly punishing, oddly not popping up all the time kind of thing. So that is the basics on that. And we'll talk about those hooks when we go to the previously on. But to start, we're going to have our characters introduce themselves, just to give Leandro a sense of that, and then I'll have Leandro introduce his character, and then we will get the relationships mapped out. So let's begin this time with Nikos. Stephen, can you please introduce Nikos to us?
Yes, I'm playing Nikos Jemson, he, him pronouns. He's our ship's captain. He's sort of the wheeler-dealer type, the sort who can talk his way out of any problem, but makes 2 more problems for himself in the process. And we saw a little bit of that last time around. One of his hooks was my search for secret that has made me the target of faction, which we never got around to filling in the blanks last time. But as I recall, I came into conflict with a particular family last week, so it seems like it might be a good idea to fill that in as.
Yeah, let me look at the
name of the family.
I am looking. Was it? It wasn't Chernova, was it? Let me see here. I will find that for you as we go along here. Okay. All right, and you are sort of the owner of the ship.
Right. And the secret I was thinking about, my search for a link to one of the lost systems, because there are lost systems that nobody knows how to get there anymore. I think Nikos is sort of, he believes that one of these systems is a utopia.
Awesome. All right, that gives us a good sense of that. Let's come to Kala.
Hi, let's see here. Kala is a scientist. She is pretty serious and sincere and naive, and but bounty hunters are after her. But it's for something she didn't do, and essentially what it was is she was on a research facility, essentially a new thing that was being built. And it disappeared, just mysteriously disappeared from where it was right after she had left the ship. So she has been accused of somehow being involved in the theft of this huge, massive research facility, which of course she did not do. And I think it was, her name was slandered, her good name was slandered, and she'll have vengeance. It was that when she was looking into it, she found some odd behavior, like essentially what looked like heretical calculations and design work within the facility. And that was why she had left. But again, they made it sound like she was the one that had caused the problem. So, and it took that. So, and I think we didn't name the group as well. So
okay, we'll have to.
We'll just make it all the same name, all the same family. How about that?
Well, the family that you entered, the group, sort of corporation family that you interacted with last time, we are going to call them Lascarid.
Okay.
I'll type that in the thing. They are a shipbuilding company. They do mining and things like that. So that actually makes sense across the board there.
Okay.
And then we come to Kyrie. How am I saying that?
Yes, that's correct.
Kyrie. Okay.
So I'm playing Kyrie Al-Dawood, he, him, who is the Mystic Playbook. He was collected as a child because he showed some psychic abilities, connections to the void, something like that, and came up with the Order of the Pariah. As who took him and did experiments on him, expanded his abilities, and now he can sort of call on the void, the dark between stars, to do physical and mental effects. His powers are based around pain and fear for himself, so that's sort of his hooks that he can dig into. But over the years, he's searched for basically any sort of philosophy, mental discipline techniques, religions, anything that could try and help him contain his mind and contain his powers and make things go well. And thusly, his skin is covered in all these different sacred writings and philosophical texts in a bunch of different languages, just tattooed all over him, that he sort of uses as centering points. Let's see. He's like I said, fear and frustration at authority and orders or things. Those are the things that trigger off his sort of poltergeisty, uncontrolled powers around him. And then the one thing he's managed to really hone in on is the mind spike move, so he can look into the thoughts of others around him.
Which we saw on screen last time, I believe. Look at that little dot of the darkness that you have there.
It's just a little bit of darkness,
dot.
just a touch of it. I mean, what could even be the problem there?
It's just a little touch. All right. So with those in mind, Leandro, let's have you talk about the character you come up with.
Yes, and I'm gonna put a disclaimer in that I came up with this character like 20 minutes ago, and I'm gonna try to figure out who they are as I talk.
Yes.
Well, they use the operative archetype. Their name, well, quote unquote, their name is Recusant. Totally their real name. I don't know who would claim otherwise. They use they, them pronouns. They are basically, the background I took is that they are a master thief. They're, I think, in kind of like in this world, they're kind of well known for really just targeting the rich, but not. They're like Robin Hood without a conscience. They target the rich, but they don't really give to the poor.
Okay.
They just, I think they mostly do it just to stick it up to them. They don't like authority as much as where I came from, kind of their upbringing. They're someone who just kind of wants to prove to people, especially people who are higher up, that their world is not as secure and as safe as they'd like to be, mainly because their world was made safe, secure on the backs of others. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's a weird sort of bring it all down sort of philosophy that they hew towards. They're quite not self-conscious. They're quite arrogant. Arrogant. That's the word about their capabilities, about what they've done. But one of the hooks I picked is that they're quite paranoid. They don't really trust anyone. They don't let anyone in. They're afraid that they'll be taken back to the people that trained them, which is the other hook that I took. I was trained by blank NPC/group. Now they seek to either bring me back or destroy me. Probably gonna be a group which like is that okay?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's perfect. There are a couple of existing groups in the setting that are appropriate, but we can also make one up. Like there's the Assassins.
Ooh. Yeah, I do like being a runaway former assassin. That sounds cool.
Okay.
Yes, I think they used to be a part of the Assassins. Now they seek to bring me back because I ran away basically because I'm not I was squeamish about killing people. I kind of preferred that people were met with justice rather than the ultimate justice. And I think they want to bring it back because they want to finish my training.
I like that. I like that. And tell us about your moves. Then I have some follow-up questions.
Cool. See, the move that I come with this playbook is the setup. So that's when I basically prepare for a covert incursion using contacts, charms, etc. I roll with slick, and I get answers to some questions. I also took the Master Thief background. As a Master Thief, you have a reputation in the criminal world that gets you a lot of leverage and respect. Oh, why did you cultivate a reputation when you know you're being chased by people? Okay. That was an incredible idea there. So when I steal something significant to yourself or someone of great influence, I mark in advance. Also, I have micro drones. I have small drones, no bigger than a small insect. I can do cool stuff with them. This stems from me being quite hands-off, I guess, with what I do, or the paranoid side of like, okay, I got a lot of eyes around. No one's gonna get the drop on me. You'll be fine.
I like that very much. So, how long do you suppose you've been off from the assassins? How many years have you been kind of on the run?
Let's see. Maybe about 3.5 to 4.
Okay.
So it's long enough to build a reputation, but not long enough where. Well, I'd say I probably had some run-ins with them in those 3.5 years. But I'm.
Do you think that they know that you're recusant? Do they know that the Master Thief recusant is the one that they're going after?
Probably not.
Okay.
They probably know who I was,
but they haven't put 2 and 2 together yet about exactly what's going on.
Yeah, not yet. They're probably getting close. I must have like a friend. I must have had a friend or two in there, who probably would know me very well.
And how old do you appear?
I probably appear. Just look at this picture. Probably late 20s, but about to reach 30, around that sort of age.
And this is something I'll say to remind everybody. With gear, when you go to do something, you set which gear you have. You have 3 gear slots at the beginning. Anything that's marked with T is a trinket. And you can change that essentially when you go back to the ship or in between scenes. You can always change out what your loadout is. So it's a little bit different from, say, Blades in the Dark. But and the modulation mask that you have, basically, it's a scanner breaker. I mean, it's essentially like a mask. People, when they see you, can tell that you're that they're not seeing the real you, but it messes up scanning technologies and all of that, and that's why it's highly illegal. A little ref to the Hong Kong protests there, but anyway, so why do you think you would have joined up with a ship of adventurer archaeologists? What has made you join up with them? Now, mind you, they are a ragtag group of misfits.
I mean, it's hard to say no to a ragtag group of misfits. I think partially it's to get a change of pace with what I've been doing, which has been a lot of striking out their lonesome. So they probably thought it'd be nice to like have the backing of a crew for once. I don't know how they feel about me, but we'll see, I guess.
How long have you been with us?
How long has the crew been? I probably think I'm probably like the newest recruit in, but how long
maybe
has
a few months?
Yeah, a few months. Makes sense. Maybe like half a year.
And what is there like when they go, oh yeah, we have recusant on board, they do X? What is it that they know we've got recusant on board and it's pretty clear they're a master thief of some kind? Is that what they think, or do they think recusant's just sneaky?
I don't know. This is a crew thing. I can't make up my reputation for them.
Well, I guess what have they seen your skills, do you think, so far?
Yeah, I think I
Okay.
wouldn't want to not advertise what my my primary skill set is.
Okay. Well, let's have you look. Let's actually have you do your relationship picks, and we'll have you pick one for them, and then we'll check in with them about how they feel about you. And there's a list of examples, of course, on the thing there. So, which do you want to start with, Recusant?
Probably Blank is skillful but naive, and that's probably Kala.
Okay, that seems fair.
That seems straightforward.
Are you good with that, Kala? And then, Kala, what is your impression of Recusant? You've got that list on your thing. You have a couple that you haven't picked, and those, I believe, are on Creation tab 1.
Yeah, I think that recusant is something that she thinks. Oh, I got to look at my tab, don't I? Okay, so here, of my things. So scientist. I think that when the captain brought recusant onto the ship, was presented as one of the ship's technicians. And I took that literally as being someone who like could work with the ship's systems. And so having seen them in action on that front, I think they have no clue. And how can anyone be so dumb about those things? She has no clue that you're actually a thief, even though it's probably even been mentioned. She just doesn't hear it that way. She thinks they're using a euphemism for something else you do. And she's very concerned whenever you're using any of the like ship systems. She's like hovering right over there because you just do it all wrong. How's that?
I mean, I could see why Recusant would think Kala is skillful but naive.
Yes, perfect. And then Recusant, what's your second one then?
Blank has a hidden agenda. I'm going to find out what it is. That has to go to our dear captain / trailblazer.
Okay.
Just can't trust captains on principle. They always have either like an agenda or some hidden pain and something that's gonna hold them back.
Right. And I mean, I think I probably talked about how we're searching for the secrets of the ancients, and there's this galactic union out there somewhere. I'm going to find the lost gateways to them and all that. And I assume you think that's a cover for something?
Yeah, because that sounds ludicrous.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I would say that Recusant acts like they're in charge. I need to set them straight. And I mean, I think I know that Recusant is this master thief. And in fact, that may even be partly why I decided to bring them on board, because it's a very useful set of skills. But I think Recusant has taken action a couple of times that's gotten the ship in hot water without consulting anybody. And I do have a problem with that. I mean, that's my shtick.
Yeah, they're still a bit too used to working alone or working with hired goons, not with a crew.
I like it. And then what about your last one?
Either of these could be good for Kyrie. I like going with Kyrie can be trusted no matter what, because their shtick is so straightforward and is so easy to figure out. Oh, they're tortured. They've got the darkness in them. So they can be trusted as far as Recusant can throw them. And I think the Recusant thinks they've figured out exactly what kind of deal Kyrie has.
I kind of love that because of how wrong it might turn out to be. Are you okay with that, Patrick?
Yeah.
Or do you
So
want to modify that?
no, it's just you'd sort of presented it two different ways. So you're going with it how it's written, or more limited.
Wait, wrong thing. I think I was going with it as written in the sense of like, like Rick Houston thinks I know exactly what Kyrie is doing, so I can trust them no matter what.
Okay. Then I think I'll go with I can't help my feelings for recusant, but I can't let them know. Because I think that just sort of like assumption of capability and skill is just not something I am used to getting from other people. But I think every time I start to think like fondly or even romantically of recusant, like the fear and the dark between stars seeps in, and I like start to hear these voices or get like visions of everything that could and definitely will go wrong if I tried to open up to anyone, things like that.
Are you good with that, Leandro?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So is everybody happy with their hooks as they stand right now? One of the things we'll do at the start of the session, they have a previously on, which is we're about to go through where we were, but we also check and make sure if everybody's happy with their hooks, and if not, they can swap them around or change them out. So recognize that is on the table. So last time our crew got information and a job, and the job was to pick up some archaeologists who had gotten sort of stranded on a planet. And when they arrived in the system, they found that there was a blockade by the Lascarids, this company, who are sort of in charge of the planet. And they framed it as a quarantine, and were particularly not forthcoming about why this was going on. And they had some military vessels there. The crew looked into it, and this is sort of out of order, but they discovered that some forces had been sent down to the planet, and that there was clearly something going on that front. Eventually, they were able to, by talking to some people on the station and making some bribes of some kind, that may be overextending that word, they were able to get themselves down to the planet concealed, and found that the archaeologists that they were looking for had been kidnapped, and had been kidnapped by a third party that seemed to be some biosculpted people, and that those biosculpted people had kidnapped a few of these people, had clearly targeted them, the archaeologists, but had also killed a bunch of people. And it's also pretty clear that the military forces that are on the planet are also involved with this, are also tied up in all of this. And I think sort of the general state of where we left off was with the group trying to track back these bioroids with the people that they had taken and find out where they had gone. Now, I'm certain that I left out some key details there. So let me put that to the table. What have I missed? Anything? Or should we just operate under those assumptions? We're going to operate under those assumptions. So this is where we take up this time. And we are on the planet. Let me get to that page. And it is Saruke. And right now, you are trying to not get killed by Lescarid military people, not get killed by these bioroids, rescue the 2 of the 3 remaining archaeologists who are still alive, and maybe find out exactly what they were doing here and what's going on, that all of this has suddenly become valuable and there's some conflict going on over it. And where we take up our crew, and that will include recusant at this point, are on planet, and are relatively concealed. One of the other important situational factors I should mention is that this is a planet with variable gravatics and magnetics, and that has caused some issues at time. It's one of the reasons that it makes it more dangerous to come down here. And in fact, I believe the crew used some trickery to get down and perform their landing on planet, if I recall. So the 4 of you are on planet. You have a sense of the trail that these people went to. You know that there are military forces working around in the area. There's certainly scorched earth there. So, Captain, what is the next step for your crew?
Right. Well, we found the communicator on the dead body of the one guy. We can use that to track the other communicators.
Yep.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to track the missing archaeologists and follow them in the ship.
Okay. In that case, I think that is definitely going to be a scope it out.
Okay.
And
Which
that will be
stat
with
do you roll that with?
that is with calculating if someone has sensors, they can also
Yes.
discharge that for benefit.
So I have a scanner that gives an advantage for scope it out. It's one of my gear choices for this thing.
Okay. Is that have a discharge on it, or is it always used?
There are 3 uses.
Okay.
So basic gear, when you scan, expend use for advantage on scope it out.
Okay. Do you wish to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Then go ahead and mark that as used, and
Okay.
we'll have you.
Okay. Well, rolling the advantage, that boosts it up to an 11 for me.
Okay. So that will give us then on scope it out, gives 3 questions. Do you guys want to split it since Sherry used the scanner?
Sure, I'd love a question.
Sure. Okay, let's see. What here is not what it appears to be?
The bioroids that you've seen, the stuff that has gone on, you weren't sure what was happening, if this was an isolated like group of them or so on. They look a little more involved, look a little more sophisticated. Like this might actually be some kind of long-term colony or something, which is very unusual.
And what here will give us an edge?
I think that you could probably make use of the variable fields here to impede any kind of on the ground scanning detection of you as you approach this place. I think that's probably something that would give you an edge. Does that seem fair?
Oh yeah, that seems good. And Calla, what's your question?
I think that we are getting some signals back that might have something to do with the things that they've been carrying and stuff. So I'm going to ask what is about to happen. Is there anything that in what they're carrying that gives any suggestion to that?
I think that you will start to see the signal dim, which suggests to you that they are like going underground. That they are not remaining on the surface. That they are heading into a place that's is starting to block the signals.
Thank you. That is useful.
And I think with that kind of scanning and information in mind, and knowing that as you are looking for a tunnel site, that the four of you can locate an area that would otherwise be difficult to find, and you kind of go through the scrub. You move out of the area that's burnt. And you can come up onto a zone, again, wild, non-Terran vegetation, things around here. But you will see, because of your scanner, you're able to find a spot that looks like an entry point into some kind of underground complex that otherwise would be very difficult to see, and you haven't been spotted by the time you've gotten over there. So the question is, how do you want to play this? You haven't seen any guards up here, but you certainly know there's military. I will go ahead and mute Kitty Cat.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I had.
Right. Well, recusant has this move that lets him scout ahead. So.
Oh, recusant. Should we come to you then?
Yeah. So I have this setup move where I just use basically all my assassin-given skills and abilities to basically prepare for this covert incursion into this hostile territory. I think this is probably as we're kind of like traveling towards like this entry point. I'm kind of like bringing up what I know about this area, and
sure. Let's have you roll with Slick.
Yeah. Where's the? Can I have the link to the dice roller?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let me grab that. That is under moves. Link. Paste. Did that work? That did not. Come on. There we go. Badly ample raccoon.
Ooh.
I saw them in concert.
I hope they were most ample when you saw them. Okay. What color? Oh, come on, internet. Why are you freezing up? Just let me choose a color. Okay, there we go. Freezing. Ooh. Well, that's bad.
And by bad, what do you mean?
It's a 5.
It is a 5. Well, let's take a look and see what the lean on me gives advantage. So when you support a crew member's efforts before they roll, so this is one of those before they roll things. So now we know that. So the good news is you get to mark XP, recusant.
I love that. Thanks very much.
What goes wrong with your technical expertise here?
Ooh. I think what happens is that okay, so what I'm kind of doing is as we're moving is like I am kind of like figuring out what kind of security defenses they have technologically. So I think it's a lot of like poking through like whatever electronics that might be nearby, or setting a bit of drones out. I think I don't know if it's as harsh as tripping an alarm, but I think something of that sort.
Yeah, I think what we will see is you have moved over to check out the area and confirm safety. You've probably disabled a couple of things, and as you are moving over there, it is that just coincidence that one of these figures, dressed in robes, it comes out of this entryway just as you're exposed, and sees you there. So you kind of freeze. Let's come to Kyrie, since Kyrie hasn't had to roll yet. And ask Kyrie, what would you do, assuming that you're sort of the next closest when that happens?
And so, was Recusant out on their own scouting?
I imagine that you guys are all there, but Recusant is kind of moving, checking the area.
Gotcha. I think I'm worried. I'm scared about Recusant. They're obviously about to get like ambushed or attacked, or that person's gonna call out people against us. So I think I'm gonna spend my darkness.
Okay.
And choose I'm gonna lash out destructively. And something is broken beyond repair. And when a choice says someone or something is affected, the GM will specify the details.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So, ideally not Recusant.
I'll tell you what, I'll be generous about this. I think that you'll hit him, and what is the sort of representation that we see, the visual cue that something has happened around with this darkness?
I think like even in daylight, Kyrie's eyes have this faint glow, and it just ramps up to like this sort of shining purple that you can sort of see outlining some of his tattoos as well. And then sort of like a lens flare. There's just this like flash of sort of purplish light above the doorway that guy is standing in, and I think it like starts to crack and masonry starts to crumble, sort of thing.
I think what we see is that sort of runs over the guy, and we can see his communicator and some of the other electronic gear that he has on him just and fritz out before he can like hit an alarm or call somebody else in or anything like that. And
I think wherever we are, like Kyrie is almost like doubled over while still staring at this, going, no, just stop.
Nikos?
Yeah. So I think I'm going to try to take this guy down with my pistol before he can recover, and I mean, communicator's not working, but before he can shout or attract attention some other way.
Okay. So I think that you can either roll this with firefight or with act quick. I'd be good with either one. One of the possible consequences being that there is some noise made. What do you think?
I'll go with act quick.
Okay.
Right. That's a 12.
That is a 12. So I think we see you get up and essentially do you put a slug in this guy before he can go any further.
Yeah.
Okay. And as much as anything, it's the shock from the sudden flaring of his gear, and then you're up, and we hear that just that light crack of the partially silenced pistol, and then the body hits the ground.
Yeah, and actually I've got a stun setting on my pistol, so I'll use
Okay. Yeah, so he'll be
just checked my gear, so
he'll be out for a while then. Kala, you can see that there is this entryway down below. It looks like while this one person was alerted that recusant has cleared any traps up here. This guy that was taken down by the stunner doesn't look entirely human, in the sense that he looks biosculpted.
Okay. What does that say to me?
So biosculpting is very controversial. In some cases, it's been used as, biosculpting for appearance and enhancement and things like that. The church does not care for that. In some cases, biosculpting has been done to repair cosmetic damage or things like that, or hide things. The church does not care for that. And there are some groups of people that were essentially crafted with this to act as special environment servants, kind of not slaves, but more special labor forces that would eventually act kind of like indentured servitude, or would be kind of done to the company store. In some cases, like to changes made for atmospherics, that kind of thing.
Is that what we're seeing here?
It does look like these people have, and I think I described this last time, some adaptations, but they don't necessarily look like adaptations for the planetary atmosphere that you're seeing here.
What do they look like adaptations for? That is.
Let's have you. What are your expertise?
I think hypothesis. No, that's a different game.
It's a different game.
Yeah. Let's see here. I have. Well, I do have expertise in spirituality, philosophy, wisdom, and the icons. If it's anything that's religious or related, I might recognize it.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, let me. There's a tie in here. Let's have you make a roll with share expertise, which is roll with calculating.
Okay. And my calculating is. I hope to. Yes. And if someone else then acts on my information, I believe that they have advantage. So that gives me a 9.
That is a 9. So it seems to you like these, and I'm going to call them bioroids. And there's a different terminology, but that's the one that's stuck in my head right this second.
Okay, and I noticed you said that. So.
These bioroids, you are guessing maybe they crashed here or were dropped here from another system a while ago, because they seem to have developed some kind of ritual. You guess that they've been here for a while. Like this might be even a second generation of these people, probably hidden away. It would explain the ritual significance that they developed, the sort of variant worship, and their protectiveness of this area. It may be that what's going on is areas that they've come to consider religiously significant have been intruded on.
And are these the people that the last Carrot family described as natives? Or is this a different group?
The last care didn't really say. Oh yeah, no, they did say natives. Yeah, when you talk to them, when you talk to the person who gave you the inside info, they described them as natives.
Okay. All right. And the ritual thing just seems like it's a kind of, I mean, does it?
It's a variant icon worship.
Okay. All right. All right. So I'll just relay that back. So if you could make use of that, any of you. But yeah, so they've been here for at least a generation, longer than Les Carrot has been here.
Yes. So you have that information. You've stunned one of these people. You've avoided setting off the alarm. You know that there must be an underground complex here, and that they have the at least one of the people that you're looking for here.
Okay, question. In this setting, are there any legal implications if the planet was occupied before the Scarred family came here?
Realistically, no.
But is it something they would care about?
With enough power, you could make that a wedge issue.
Right. Okay, so they want to keep it quiet, but yeah, okay, it might be a minor thing.
So how do we proceed from here? This is kind of an open question about, do you want to proceed down into these tunnels, or do you want to look around further? You do know that there are military forces working around on the planet.
Yeah, I think we need to go inside. I think we need to rescue these people quickly. I mean, we've only got so long before this guy that we stunned is going to be missed, and we don't want to just fart around until a military patrol finds us. So I think we move in.
But down? I mean, underground? They probably have some sort of trap or something set up for us.
They don't know we're coming. I mean, they may have traps in general, but they aren't going to be expecting a rescue.
They might be expecting something. What if we get trapped down there? How do we get out?
Then we'll get out. We'll always find a way out. There's always a way out with these sort of things. There's a trap. We'll just not trip it. If you think we're trapped, then we'll always find something to get us out there.
I think Kyrie's face says that's the most stupidly optimistic thing I've ever heard. But Kyrie, he sort of bites on his tongue, maybe literally, as he looks sort of pained as he clamps his mouth shut.
And Cal will say, I have scanners. I can find their back doors. No one has a hole that they don't have a couple ways out of.
Besides, this isn't a dungeon. It's a military base or an encampment. People don't set them up to trap their enemies. They usually set them up to live there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's.
It's not like this is the first time we've broken into a secure military installation. And we remember how well the time before that went, right?
Practically seamless.
Mm-hmm.
Let's then.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Start with Kala. We can have you scope it out, and then once that's happened, we can roll to recusant. You are muted. Take a drink.
Sorry, start with the scanner then, and make a roll with advantage on.
Scope it out with calculating.
Okay. So, advantage roll. So that gives me an 11.
So you have 3 questions off that list.
Okay, well, everyone's always going to ask what here is not as it seems.
When you get into that sort of opening tunnel and stuff, you are getting the weirdest energy signatures from down below. Like your scanner just goes wibbly wobbly, like timey wimey, all over the place, crazy.
Okay. And does it seem like an interference signal, or does it seem like it's
There's something down there
okay?
that is not something you've ever seen before.
Okay, and I will say that. Let's see here. And then my other thing is, what here will give me an edge?
I think that the lighting here is not the best. So if you're willing to take the robes from this stunned gentleman, that will give you an advantage.
All right. So I will pick up the robes.
Yoink.
Yeah, it's lighter than I expected. Probably a late tune. Let's see here. And
Last question.
oh, this is hard. I want to say what's happened here recently, as in like the signs of coming and going and the signs of like what kind of tumult is going on.
I think you'll get just confirmation of some of the things you've seen before. You have the sense that these people have been here for a while and that the archaeologists probably triggered their reaction. And that reaction was probably enough to make the military mining people nervous, and they overreacted. Because they need this for stability, and as soon as they start getting previously unknown locals interfering, they react with maximal force.
And so this seems to be like the source of the reaction to the archaeologists, or is this just one of several settlements?
Now, I think there may be other settlements that certainly signals, but this seems particularly important.
And I sort of go, there's a pretty good chance that the military are going to be getting here fast. So we need to move.
Mercusant, does that inspire you with hope?
Well, it just makes them think of clocks. A lot of clocks. So I think just so they're prepared, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to deploy my micro drones.
Okay.
So I have a suite of drones, small drones, no bigger than a small insect. I think what it looks like is like I pull out like what looks like a handful of metallic sugar cubes or metallic D6s, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them kind of start to unfold. As kind of like toss a few into the air, and they start unfolding to like these like 6-legged sort of insect-like drones that start kind of floating in the air.
Okay.
And I need to roll something.
Yeah. So you'll discharge that move and then roll with calculating.
All right. Let's hope the dice are nice to me. The dice have not been nice to me this weekend. That's an 8.
That is an 8. So you get to hold 2, which is pretty good.
Yeah. I'm going to immediately use one of those holds to quickly map out any nearby hidden routes. Any nearby hidden routes in the area. So
you will send this down. The tunnel goes down. It splits off. There's clearly some like cavern making and things like that. That you can see it's rough, sort of cave system, and you'll do that. And then there's this weird point at which you go down further, and it changes from being this rough hewn to it's almost like there's a room that is nearly a sphere, like maybe 100 meters across. There's been some scaffolding and things that have been built in there, and there's some stuff that your sensors come back and say essentially unable to map in there.
Oh, lovely.
But it looks like down below there's definitely this big weird chamber.
Okay. I'm tempted to like use Meta 1 to let me spy on that chamber.
Is that what you wish to do?
Yeah.
All right.
We're trying to be careful.
Absolutely. So you will open it, the essentially that up. Is it like fed into your eyes? Is it a pop-up? How do you imagine that? Or do you have goggles for it?
Ooh, my first thought was monocle, and it's like, no, wait, no, that's ridiculous. I think it's kind of like that. I think it's like a small, like eye patch size sort of tablet that like, I do have to get near. I think it's around the size of my glass, but I think it's something I have to hold up to my eye.
There is a room that is, as I said, a sphere, about 100 meters across. It looks like these people here, these bioroids, have built some scaffolding to go down and into towards the bottom, and they've kind of built a shrine. The thing that will strike you is that you can see that there is a spaceship like embedded in the sort of the top half of this sphere, like it phased in here. And it's very hard to map. Like your sensors are not going with it. Here's the thing: is it doesn't look like an ancient spaceship. It looks like a spaceship like you've seen. Old. It's clearly a few decades out of date, but it's a section of that, and you've never seen anything like that, because ships shouldn't be able to warp into solid things. That shouldn't happen. They would be destroyed.
Okay. I think I see that, and I can realize all that. And are we still like standing around this tunnel?
I imagine you're at least hidden.
I think I'm gonna call Nikos over.
I take a look at these scans, and I'm like, I want to get the navigational data from that ship.
Fair enough. Is there any signs of people from or is it just the ship?
There are actually some of these bioroids in the place. I would say most of them are out elsewhere, except for the group of about a half dozen that have a couple of non-bioroids tied up.
Oh, lovely. Right. Well, Captain, if you want that nav data, I can take care of that. Saving people, that seems to be more your shtick, right?
Right. So, yeah, let's see if we can get onto that ship, and we can use that as our base for launching a raid to get the archaeologists back. Can you map us out a route that will get us onto the ship without being noticed?
Oh, sure. I can do that, Captain. Do I call out of character? Do people call you Captain or just call you Nikos?
Captain for me.
Yeah,
Ella definitely calls him Captain.
All right, I'll call you Nikos then. I think, yeah. Ricky says like, yeah, that's no problem. Nikos, just last time we launched a raid. Let's just say that it took a few weeks to get the stains off my coat. Won't be as messy as that this time, right?
Of course not. Besides, we'll have a nice long quiet trip. After this is all over, there'll be plenty of time to do laundry.
Right, quiet. Yeah, sure. Like we've ever done that. I think I'll just map out the route then.
So the thing is, I mean, imagine there's a sphere, like a basketball, and the ship is maybe in the top. A portion of that ship is exposed in maybe the top 30-40% of that top of that sphere in there. Kind of come in, tunnel opens sort of in the middle, and then there's scaffolding down. It doesn't look like they actually go up and touch the ship or anything. It looks like to get up there, to kind of try and touch it, climb in, is going to require dousing the lights or doing some kind of distraction because there's people in that big chamber. And it's going to require a climb up this material to get to it, or some other form of getting up. But there is a like a cargo door, your typical on spaceship kind of thing, like an airlock. There's the word. Look at that. It's space. It's a space airlock. Anyway, there's a space airlock, and you can get to that and conceivably open it. But given how exposed this room is going to be a challenge. Probably going to need to make the challenge a little more manageable.
So, equipment.
Mm-hmm.
When I use the Vulcan, as I understand, I'm supposed to mark 3 gear when I use the first gear, or do I mark them one at a time?
So you mark the gear to tell us what you have going in. You only mark something as discharge for weapons if you use it up to do more damage. Essentially, you can always use a weapon, but you can discharge it to do extra damage.
Okay. So if I've marked the gear now and I want the hyper rope, which I did not mark, I would have to go back to the ship and go back to the shuttle and grab it.
That is correct.
Okay, but the shuttle is pretty close, so I could run out there and get the hyper rope.
Absolutely. Well, I do think I might make you make a roll, just
Right.
given that they're military people.
Right, to avoid running into a patrol.
Yeah,
That might be worth doing. It sounds like.
Okay. Are you going by yourself?
Is there anybody else who wants to go back to the ship and grab any gear?
Want to? Yes. Will? Probably not.
All right. I'll. In that case, I'll say, Kyrie, you're with me. We're going back to the shuttle.
Take a drink.
Paolo recused. Scout out the chamber, maybe, and.
Yeah, sure, Captain. And he's like looking back and forth between the captain and recusant. Yeah, let's go.
Let's do the captain and recusant getting to the ship. It's just gonna be one simple roll.
Right, go wrong.
Yeah, and I think act quick seems like the best choice for this.
9.
That is a 9. Oh, and Let's see. You get to choose one, not me.
I think I'm off balanced or rushed. I have disadvantage going forward.
Okay. So yeah, like in the distance, you can hear the sound of gunfire, and you're not used to it now. You will get to the ship where you've got it concealed. Get inside. You can swap your gear out. Kyrie, do you want to swap any of your gear out?
Yeah, actually, I do think I'm gonna swap my pistol out for some grenades because that sounds less smart.
Yeah, you get that traded out. Recusant, you definitely can go over this material, get a kind of a plan of how you would do this. The trick is it will be much easier if you can get the lights put out that are in there.
Okay. I mean, we've scoped out enough of this place. I don't want to do it again. Yeah, but I think we have a full. We've tried to map the full place.
Yeah.
I can see where the lights are. I can make a route to where the lights can be controlled.
How would you disable the lights?
Ooh, well, this is what I get for using up my drones. Rules question: what happens? How do you undischarge a move, actually?
When you're out of direct danger during a hostile situation and take a moment to gather yourself, you can roll with Stalwart. And there's a possibility of readying equipment. I think you're out of direct danger, so if you wanted to do that.
Yeah, I think we're prepping for getting into a hostile situation.
Yeah. Normally when we're like out completely of combat, if you like go back to the ship and you're flying away, we'll clear the discharge stuff. But when you're still kind of in a situation where there might be problems.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
Okay, let's have you roll with Stalwart.
I don't think I got. Where is my Stalwart? Okay, that's a 7.
Well, here's a good thing. You take a little too long, choose 2, but your enemy gets a chance to get into better position. So you can ready a move, weapon, piece of gear. You can up to 2 of them. So you can redo your drones if you want.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to do that.
But you will see them move the 2 archaeologists over under the ship, like to that altar.
Right. I'm gonna point
We'll-
that out.
We'll come back to you in just a second. Let's come to Kala.
So you said that there was an icon there.
Mm-hmm.
What icon?
The judge.
The judge. So help me through those things. Tell me about the judge.
Okay. Let me pull up that on here. What's it say? Explains all. I just want to find it so I can give you the exact text here.
Exactly.
Hey, there we go. I like an index where when you go to look for something, there's a page number. So the judge, an old matriarch with a grave face and a sword by her side, is a common way to picture the judge. The judge's realm is that of justice and due punishment. Early icon myths name the icon as either the blind or the warden, and many believe is the judge who presides over the afterlife. The martyr is another aspect of the judge and the most important icon to the order of the pariah.
And would these be order of pariah people?
Doesn't appear to be, no, because Order Pariah particularly despises bioroids and flesh-crafted people. The only sacrifice the judge desires is confessions of one's failings and lies and remorseful penitence. Flagellation in honor of the martyr can be appropriate under certain circumstances, but is almost exclusively practiced by the Order Pariah. The judge is not about human sacrifice or execution punishment.
All right.
So I think you would know that what's going on is, unless they're really off base, probably they're not going to be executing, but they have moved them to position clearly for some kind of ritual.
But this would also, because this is in here, it suggests that the judge is important to them here in
Yes.
that sphere, right?
Yes.
Like that the ship itself was being brought to this place for remorse or for punishment.
Could possibly. Do you want to share expertise with the physics of it or the occultism of it? What do you think?
Yeah, I would definitely do that. I can definitely do the physics. I could understand what would allow a phasing of the ship into like under the planet's surface and that sort of thing. Because I know how I have the FTL at travel, spatial anomalies, all of that stuff.
Then let's have you go ahead and make that roll.
Oh, you make a roll for this? Okay.
Because you're sharing
All right.
expertise.
Oh, okay, I will do this. So is that just a straight roll?
It is calculating.
Okay. So 7 plus 2 is a 9. It was a 10 for a second, and then the cat put his head on my mouse. Rerolled it.
This is not something you've seen before. Like, in fact, you're pretty sure this shouldn't be able to happen. This had to have gone through a warp gate through one of the points, but this, like, a warp gate shouldn't have pointed to here. The technology that you have is to fly something into a thing, like, and to smash into it, but the actual sort of warping here shouldn't happen like this. And you suspect that what you're seeing, the visible, that's like not in the solid material there, that may be accessible, but it may be dangerous. You're not sure what the physics of the space that you're seeing that are clearly embedded in the actual solids are like, and that may be even more weird.
So is that where the signals, the weird signal is
That is what is causing all of these weird signals here.
So I do want to record as much of that as I can.
Okay.
But I guess the thing is that's not really a place that I particularly want to go, even though the captain is very set on going into the ship, right?
Yes.
So I'm kind of like, I'll turn to Rakusa and go, understand that if we go into that ship, we're probably going to die or be horrifically changed. There's some sort of resonance there that is a very significant anomaly. And she goes, and I can see why they've made it a shrine area. It should be impossible.
Well, when a captain wants something, he wants something. If
the
we can
captain,
get...
the captain wants a lot of things. You can always put him off.
Well, if you sell this song to him, I'm sure you can try to put him off. If there's like a way to get the nav data from without...
And like my voice breaks in over the communication. You know that you got an open mic, right?
And did I tell an untruth?
No, no.
I think what Kyle is saying is that we just need to approach this with a bit more caution than we're already using.
Like perhaps something we can afford to lose rather than our lives right away.
So we will say that the captain and Kyrie will return back, and we will get that. And I think this is a good place for us to take about a 6-minute break, and then we'll come back and figure out which frying pan to leap into. Shall we? So to summarize our situation, 2 archaeologists, they clearly have some knowledge about what's going on with this spaceship. Probably they busted in here at some point into this giant sphere. They are being held for something down at the bottom of this sphere, and there's some scaffolding and lights around and about. There is the solid phase space portion of a spaceship that is extended into the sphere. There are these tunnels that go back up and out. You're not sure if and when others will be returning to this or not. And of course, there is there are a number of military forces that are operating around on the planet looking for these people. And by these people, I mean the Bioroids, whose name is not the Bioroids, but again, that's what I'm using because I already got it wrong. We're going to stick with it. So that is the sitch that we are in. And we've had some people take a look at this. We have people rebuild this. We had the captain return. I do want to come back to Kyrie. Kyrie, you've kind of gotten dragged back to the ship and back to here. What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, he's thinking definitely that his crewmates are like wildly naive and just very optimistic about this whole thing. And I think like as we're going through the tunnels and as we're like searching through the ship, every time he passes a shadow, there's just like the deeper the darkness, the more like figures and movements he sees in it. And I think on the way back, he gives in and he starts asking it, staring into the darkness, trying to figure out someone here is here for one of us. They're coming for one of us. Who is it?
So does that seem to me like you are reaching out into the dark?
Yeah, staring, unblinking into the dark, looking for forbidden or forgotten knowledge. Because that sounds fun.
Absolutely. Let's have you roll.
And I think this is definitely his fear overwhelming him. So I'm going to take one of my hooks there.
Are you going to roll with disadvantage, or are you just saying you're just doing it because you're invoking?
Oh, I'm definitely rolling with disadvantage because he's not looking for truth. He's looking for confirmation of his own paranoia.
Okay, roll with disadvantage with weird.
All right, so that's good and bad. Oh Jesus. Well, luckily it would have been terrible anyways, but that's a 5.
Okay. So first of all, mark a stress.
Whee!
Stress is how you get calamities. Very hard to clear. And you will reach out into this and like you can tell that there are energies coursing around in that space that is extended out, and then your visions kind of reach out into that space that is the combination of the solid object of the ground and the ship, the portion that you can't actually physically see here, and you fall into the darkness there. You feel that is the edge of something bad. That is like the phase space that you're supposed to be unconscious for when you warp. It is that. And that way lies madness. And I think that you will have a vision and you will see these figures in the costuming of the Order of the Pariah, and they're all facing away from you with kind of a glow behind them. And then as one, they all turn around to face you, and they all have your face, and they begin walking towards you. And that is when you will come back, and I'm going to ask you 2 questions from the dark stairs back. In what ways are your characters' mind and soul vulnerable?
I think this ties directly into what's happening here. His like fear and paranoia for the others, but I think in this situation, especially recusant, will cause him to do things he knows he shouldn't. He shouldn't be reaching out into the dark. He shouldn't be looking for these answers. But that hook, that button, sort of led him straight into it without thinking.
And on the flip side of this, there's fear, and then there's this. What is your character's darkest heart's desire? They want that they shouldn't.
I think there's just like, in his mind, there's the faint sound of a scream and like the smell of blood, and then he just clamps it down. He shuts out the dark. He shuts out everything. I'll take a stress and decline to answer that one.
Fair enough. So what do your compatriots see?
I think as we're coming up to the other two of them, and the captain is sort of making his greeting, Kyrie's eyes, they flash that bright purple and roll back in his head, and he just passes out, like in the middle of the hallway there.
All right. Yes. What do you do?
I'm gonna march over to Kyrie and start to try slapping him awake.
His eyes, they're fluttering and sort of shooting back and forth, like dreamlike. But he will blink and sort of focus in on you.
I'm gonna lean over and I'm like, what did you see?
I don't know. Everything, nothing. They're coming for us. Something is coming for us. I don't know. It's all bad. It's very bad. It's blood.
Well, if they're coming, then we should get this done sooner rather than later.
Yes, we need to be quick. Kava, is there any way we can get on that ship for just a few minutes? Long enough to get to the bridge and get a copy of the ship's log?
That's phase space up there, sir. Or she goes, there's something up there, sir. Might be able to create a shield. And I have jury rig, but I'm not sure. Essentially, if there's something that I can do from afar, like if there's systems there, can I essentially manipulate something with the system to create a sort of shield around the cockpit,
alternately, and just to throw something else out there, I do have as one of my gear a thermostatic suit which discharged to protect from an environmental hazard without a roll. So I think that would probably be a more personal thing, but there is something else you could tinker with there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that actually give you the gear to build this thing such that you could make it so that the captain wouldn't immediately die.
Okay.
On doing this.
All right.
With a successful jury rig.
All right. Well, I guess, can I be the one that's benefiting from my knowledge of the physics and FTL thing that we set up there then?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. So I will try that. So that's an 11.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you quickly piece together this shield that you think will give Nikos a few moments of safety of non-dying in that phase space.
Yeah, and I think I go with it won't take long to do it, and it'll do exactly what I want. And one of the things that it is it has a sort of what do you say? It doesn't put him to sleep, but it brings his awareness of the rest of his environment down, so that being close to that phase space will be less horrifying and terrifying. So I don't
Okay.
want him to go up there and go insane.
So
We just got to get him
Nikos
up there.
gets you this thing. You've got your hyper rope. You going up?
Yeah, we need a distraction so that we don't.
Why don't we?
Without alerting everybody.
Well, okay. So are you going there to get the nav stuff, or are you going there to do something to assist us in getting the archaeologists? Because otherwise we can attempt to rescue the archaeologists and use that as a distraction for you to get up there.
Right. Yeah, that seems like a reasonable plan. So
Okay. So we know that you're going to be going up, Nikos. We'll take care of that in just a second. Let's hear Kala and Recusant and Kyrie's plan for getting these two people.
I think Recusant is gonna pull out their drones again.
Okay.
With the stuff they have left. I mean, that's how they do their stuff. They usually aren't around to like fiddle with locks or whatnot. They just use their drones, and they're gonna try. I'm gonna roll first.
Roll with calculating.
And Lowell, how many bioroids are around the altar, and what are they doing?
So imagine that there's some like man-made, like probably wooden stairs that go down to the bottom of the sphere, and then they've got like a deck, and there's kind of an altar there, and they've got the two archaeologists, hands tied behind, and they're kind of clearly standing around. It's not that they're guarding. It looks like maybe they're doing an invocation or a ceremony or something of that kind.
Are any of them holding anything? Are they like open hands? What's up?
I think they have stuff on them, but they're not like there's nothing in their hands. Probably some of them have hands clasped, whatever standard ritual signs for prayer. It does look like they are definitely, as you might do on the ship in at the shrine, calling and invoking.
As I'm kind of pulling out the drones, is Kyrie still on the ground? Can I help them up?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I would definitely like for Recusant to help me up off the ground.
I will also remind all of you of a mechanic that you have in this game that is a benefit. One of the things you can do, it's a special move. You can commune with the icons. Once per session, when you reach out to one of the icons to gain their blessing, you can roll with none. And if you roll a 10 plus, you get to name the icon and hold 2. If you roll a 7 to 9, you get to hold 1. And you can spend that to gain advantage on the move associated with that icon. This is at the bottom of the first column under moves, special, and commerce. Just mentioning it. It's a mechanic that's borrowed from Coriolis itself. Doesn't affect personal moves, but it does affect, some of the basic moves. So just keep that in mind.
Okay. I think as I kind of help up Kyrie, I ask, like, are you going to be okay?
None of us are going to be okay if we don't get out of here quick.
Let's get this done, okay? We're counting on each other here.
Yeah, let's do this.
I'm totally trying to lean on him.
That seems fair. Let's go ahead and roll with stalwart.
All right. Did I roll this? Oh yeah, I did roll this. Roll this again. 8. Yeah, that's an 8.
Okay, you get to choose 2.
I'm. You know what? Sure, push me to my limits. I'm gonna let him clear some stress.
Okay, and give them advantage.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, cool.
Be nice.
we'll come back to what that means. The fallout from that means in a second. But Kala, how are you getting things set up here?
Well, we don't exactly have the big firefight people here, so I assume that essentially we're going to do a snatch and grab with the assumption that we'll be followed. So I am going to essentially get ready for going fast, and I think I will do a request of, let's see here, probably the dancer, if that
Okay.
makes any sense. So
That does. Go ahead and roll.
I
with
don't have
nothing.
slick though. Slick is what I don't have, so that's probably a bad choice for me. Sorry. Let me. How about keep my cool? What one would that be with the icons?
That is the deckhand.
Okay, that sounds great to me. That's what I've been trying to be good at. So.
Okay. Go ahead and roll flat.
Okay. Got an 8.
Okay, so you have hold, and at
Okay.
any point during the session, you may spend that hold to gain advantage on keep your cool.
Okay.
What do you imagine? Like, what do you say under your breath? How do you? What is the invocation here?
I think it's, we just have to stay on course. We just have to get to where we're going. Does that make any sense? And it's that sort of, that kind of mantra of keep your head down, things are going bad, but you just got to do those things that keep the ship moving or the journey going.
So, recusant, tell me how you're creating a distraction so your compatriots can snatch these archaeologists out of there.
All right, so I'm gonna send out my cube drones. I should roll that move as well.
Okay.
8. That's calculating, and my calculating is wrong tab. I might have accidentally moved the moves tab. Sorry. All right, that's a 9, so I got 2 hold. I probably shouldn't have presumed that there's a nearby isolated computer system that controls the lights, but
Yeah, just an on-off switch. Yeah.
okay, cool. Yeah, as far as computers go,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think I'll totally use one of those hold to like position the drones and kill the lights, so that. And I think I've already mapped out this cavern, so like
Yeah.
I can give to like to Nikos and to everyone basically. Here's kind of like the route to things. Don't bump into any people. This is where the archaeologists are. Yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna use the drones to kill the lights.
So the lights are going to go out. Kala, Kyrie, and Kyrie, you have advantage going forward. How are you going to get these people out of there? Is it just acting quick?
I'm gonna look to Kala and say, "Give me just a minute. Maybe I can get them free." And as distraction is going on, I want to try and get into one of their minds in the chaos there.
Okay. So let's have you roll with volatile or volatile, however you say it, and roll with advantage.
Come Come on, don't suck. Ooh, wow. Okay, that's a 13.
Okay, hold 2.
So he can take 2 harm to ignore either of these, but the first one, just because I'm sort of curious about what sort of state they're in. But what is your character truly feeling?
They are trying to get some guidance from the judge on what they should do with these people.
So this is like real faith, but also towards the icons. They're not reaching
Yes.
out to the dark here.
No.
Okay. Then the other is I want to force one of them to take a single action that doesn't put them in direct harm. So as the people are looking around and chaos is sort of going on, I whisper to one of them, "Unbind them." Try and get him to go forward and just like whatever manacles or ties, undo them.
I think that is absolutely fair. Kala, what are you doing? You trying to get them out of there?
I'm keeping my cool. I'm waiting for the signal from Kyrie and Recusal, and I will be down there and back.
Have you roll with Stalwart with advantage because of your prayer.
So that's 12.
That is a 12. To hear the little cuffs that they have hit the ground, and you're immediately in the dark, grabbing them, pulling them, rushing them back up the stairs, back up to where Recusant and Kyrie are. Even as you're doing that, hyper rope has been attached to the ceiling. Nikos, you've climbed up, and you want to get in through this airlock.
Right. Yeah, and I'll take a moment to commune with the dancer.
Okay.
And I'm rolling with disadvantage because I've got that going forward.
Okay.
Still an 8.
Still an 8. All right. So you have a potential advantage on act quick.
Right.
Could you please roll assaulted by the dark?
Okay.
What is your weird?
My weird is -1, so I get a 4 on that.
All right. So on a 6 or less, the dark cryptic. Hey, the good news is you get to mark XP. You have to keep your cool at disadvantage to shake up to not freeze up. I will ask you a question about from the dark stairs back. And then you'll tell us how you are going to be scarred by this experience.
Keep your cool, I get an 8.
Okay.
And
the question I'm going to ask you is, what is your character's secret pain?
when I was still working for the government, my brother was recruited for a secret military project, which I knew it was this dangerous experimental program, and I tried to use my influence to stop it, but I wasn't able to, and I have not heard from him since.
And what this is you've gone in and you've tried to get at the data logs that are in here. And those are connected to the computers that reach out into the darkness. And that is the bleed that you feel roll into you. I think that you will find here, like a data pad, and there's an object with it that is in some kind of like cloth carrier, and you'll see some bodies in here, and you can grab that, but now you know you've got to get out of here, that this place is going to eat you if you remain.
Okay.
So I would like you now to make that act quick.
Can I lean on that because I didn't trust Nikos to come out there alive? So as soon as is that okay?
I'm
Or
going to
is
say
that
no
too
because he is
much? Okay.
so isolated.
Okay.
Okay.
I was gonna run in after him, but let's see how he does.
I mean, do I have time to activate any of the ship's systems as a distraction?
So you're a good chunk underground. Deep, what are you imagining that you would be doing?
Like I assume there are some ship's guns. Just start them firing at an unoccupied part of the cavern, so that people are looking away from us.
Except that the ship is a ways away, and you're well underground. Would be my only concern about that in the fiction that we've established.
I think he's talking about the ship he's in.
Oh, you want to activate this ship?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited by that possibility. Yeah. Let me think of what that would be. Yeah. What is the moves for that? Sorry. I want to make sure that I have an idea what I want to say, but I want to make sure that it's not already covered by something else, because there are a lot of moves. Let's have you keep your cool again.
$11.
So you will do that, and you will fire that off. And that room, it's more that there's noise and stuff from it, and that you've kind of opened up the systems of this ship. Let's have you roll that act quick to get out of here. You've got advantage on that.
9.
That is a 9. What do you want of the choices there?
I feel like the most interesting one is I've left something behind.
Absolutely. I think you've left behind on this darkness an imprint of yourself. It knows you. And you can tell that it knows your name as you slide down the hyper rope, do the thing to deactivate, to pop it off the ceiling, even as this rumbling is going on and the people are crying out, and the four of you can rush up out of these caverns and run pell-mell for the ship.
Yeah, and I think I didn't just leave an imprint on the darkness. I think the darkness that sort of left an imprint on me, and Kyrie is going to see this as soon as he sees me.
Oh yeah, Kyrie, you can tell that there's something wrong with the captain. Even as you rush back to the ship, these archaeologists are stumbling through here. They've been tied up for days, but it seems to me dramatically that we can hear the firefight in the distance. We can see the flames and things as you are rushing back. But you will get back to the ship, load these people on board. You can see the captain has clutched in his hands a data pad and some sort of bag as the four of you get back, and these archaeologists pretty much collapse, exhausted. And I only have one question. When you boost off, are you going to take time and try and be subtle, or are you punching out of orbit and just heading straight for the warp point and hoping to avoid that military vessel?
Well, we don't have the actual ship. We've just
that's
got
right.
the shuttle. So yeah, I am going to try to be subtle and try to get off planet without being detected by the scanners.
Absolutely.
The same way we came in.
So I think that this would just be straight act quick, because I don't think your shuttle has any advantages or disadvantages on the stealth.
Can I lean on that? Because I'm very interested in getting out of here quick.
Okay, yeah, or roll with stalwart.
Uh-oh. Should not be allowed to help people. That's a 5.
Okay. So choose one.
Snap a thingamajigger. Despite everything, it seems like it shouldn't, but my efforts do help in some way, so advantage.
Okay. Yeah. I think you and Recusant, though, we see both of you like this is clearly taken its toll on both of you. Recusant, this is the follow-up on the push to your limits thing, that this whole thing is, you don't like this stuff. It's little this darkness stuff, this weird shit that they're talking about, probably stressing you out. There may be even some in this whole ritual and prayers that these people were doing reminded you of your training. So you have advantage, Stephen, on your act quick.
And I get an 11.
Kala, what are you doing while he is piloting the ship?
I'm getting some water for the archaeologists, and I'm going, you're going to need to tell me what happened down there. Because I know they're pretty susceptible right now. So this is going to be my chance to get the story.
I don't even think we need to necessarily do a manipulate on that.
Right.
I think this is, they'll say, we found evidence that another expedition, that like there had been other things there. We found evidence, first of all, that during the war, a vessel had crashed there. The people that you saw, the bioroids, we knew they were there. We're trying to trace back, and we're following up on their customs because the ship that they had crashed on was supposed to have some great treasures. So we thought maybe we could examine them. They say in that way that says, no, we were going to rob them of their treasures. But then we found that cavern, and that occupied our attention. But some of us, the ones that left, did not want to have anything to do with that. But we thought that maybe we could find something out about it. But we were spotted on one of the times we went down there, and then all hell broke loose.
Okay. And she'll ask what they observed, since they were archaeologists observing the rites. She'll go, what do you know about them? What do you know about their faith?
So they seem to have a faith of the judge. They seem to consider themselves protectors of that thing, of that ship, that they clearly could tell that something was bad about it, and that they were they consider themselves assigned to keep it from the outside.
That makes a lot of sense.
And you guys will land in the ship, and quietly you guys are attached to that station, and there's when you get back onto the ship, there's that comm note from the engineering staff. They're like, everything checks out. You're welcome to depart at any time you'd like. And we've covered the cost of your cargo as agreed on earlier.
Right, and I assume that there is no credit in our
Oh,
account.
absolutely no. There's no money. They've
Yeah.
skimmed every
Yeah.
cent of that for themselves.
Yes.
But you've got permission to lift off and leave system.
And we will do that.
Okay. And you will head over to the jump gates, and you'll have to get yourselves set for sleeping, because when you jump through the warp, you have to be unconscious. And Kala, you're the scientist. What does that look like? How do people get put out in this?
I think the thing that we do is that you actually wear a collar, and the collar actually sits like in your it actually kind of puts a certain amount of pressure on your collarbone so that it's aligned, so that if you start to wake up during that time, it'll actually put you back out again. So, and typically what it is that there's a collar for every person, and it keeps track of what was the last sort of sedative that was used, so that it cycles through them so you don't become like resistant to it. And then of course we have some, and you always have like more of those if you take on passengers. So we have to give ones to those archaeologists. So, get them all fit, clamped, ask them what was the last sedative, that kind of thing. So it's more that.
And it's probably a quick jump, quick space to the jump gate. We established that is pretty close here. But that once you pop out on the other side, probably by Coriolis, since that system, you'll have a few days to talk to each other about that. But during this jump, you wake up, Patrick. You open your eyes, and you can feel the vibration of the ship, and you look around, and in terror, you will realize that everyone else is still asleep, and you're awake.
I think he's like fumbling at the collar, trying to find some like emergency control on it, and also desperately trying to not look out the portholes or view screen or whatever.
You kind of trying to keep it, and you realize that there's someone in the captain's chair.
Oh, I stop moving immediately and open my eyes and try and look at that.
And kind of look over, and the captain's chair kind of swivels around, and you will see the captain awake, no collar on, and the darkness looks at you, and it says, you should watch out for. And then you realize that the warp is over. You're getting that of the wake up call as the collar ends. And you can look around, and everyone is in their proper positions coming out of the sedation.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to decide if. No, why not? Let's do it. Can I spend a darkness and basically take a darkness from that.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
can I leave an imprint of this on the captain's mind too? Or that's what I would hope to do. I don't get to choose. But what I would choose is spend a darkness and someone is frightened or cowed.
So, Nikos, I think you have much the same vision just from the bleed over from Kyrie's, except when the chair swivels around, it's not you, it's your brother. And he says, "You left me." And then you wake up. And I imagine that the two of you are a little more somber than the others when you come out of the sedation.
Yeah, I'm like trying not to look at the captain.
Yeah, and I'm definitely rattled, and I'm trying not to show it, but I think, well, definitely the recusant, and probably even Kala noticed that I'm not really myself.
So let's do a once around of like personal scenes here on the travel back to maybe come to the close of the session, just because I want to follow up on this. Let's start with you, recusant. You have 4 or 5 days in space before you get back to the Coriolis station, essentially the distance from the warp point to station. How do you occupy yourself during that time?
I think a lot of it is because we're in space, so I mean the chances of getting attacked is a lot of things can still happen in space. So I think the recusant does a lot of pacing around, a lot of mental gymnastics, looking at ship systems, its integrity, whatnot, and just making sure things are where they are. Like the chances of things just changing, well, okay, things could happen even though they don't really care for the Hegel deep dark stuff. But I think they do spend a lot of time just making sure everything's just as they were like an hour ago or a day ago.
Do you keep to yourself, or who would you interact with most of the crew?
I mean, if I'm messing around with the systems and just make sure everything's fine, it probably would be Kala.
Okay, so yeah, there's a moment when you realize that Kala has been there for a while, sort of hovering. What do you say to Kala?
Are you sure the shields are calibrated right?
She sort of stops and goes, "What would make you question that?"
Well, there's this. Okay, it's a minuscule fluctuation, but it's still a fluctuation. And fluctuations can lead to cascading effects, and sooner or later, I don't know, maybe some sort of sabotage will lead for this shield generator of ours to just burn up, and either burn up at a critical moment or take the ship out.
You should watch and record those. Just keep your eye on the monitor.
All right.
Just stand right here. Here, I'll give you this data pad. You record each one that you see. You seem to have a very strong sense of these, what I would consider immaterial fluctuations. But certainly, if you think there's a pattern, I need you to be here doing that. Just give me this thing. And you have that sense of just like, she set you up to do this so that you won't be in her way.
Yeah, I think recusants realize they've been played. And I think they take the data pad with a bit of a huff, and it's like, Look, I'm just trying to look out for the ship, all right?
I certainly appreciate that. She goes, please, I'll come back and read over your findings. Any point, but certainly a shift change. Stay right there.
Let's jump to the captain, to Nikos. What is it that you do during this time?
Well, I mean, I want to check out the ship's log that I got in this bag that I grabbed.
So there are two things. One is that you will realize that this is someone's personal data pad. It seems to be the pad of one of the people on some kind of expedition, not unlike yours. And it'll take you a little bit because there's a lot of corruption to the data here. But you will realize that this is from a guy named Vahid Chelebs Manaw. And Chelebs Manaw is one of the how do I put this best here? One of the first comer families and very well placed. And old, very tied into the church kind of family. But it becomes clear to you that this guy was exploring, much like you, like seemed to have parallel interests in trying to find, ancient artifacts and possibilities of the gates and so on. There are some notes that are scattershot. What you'll primarily pick up is the sense that he had been doing this research for a while, and that he must have had a cache of information elsewhere. Like there must be other stuff that he had, probably stored with the family or something. But you also get a set of other names of 3 other people who were on the expedition that I will provide for you next time.
Okay.
But the other thing is there's this disc. When you take it out of the thing, it is a disc. It's heavy. It looks like it might be gold. It's perfectly circular in this way, and then it's about this high. There are no markings on it. There is a small like divot in the center of it, like you could maybe put your finger in it. The thing that you'll realize immediately when you take this disc out is it is absolutely frictionless. Like it immediately goes out of your hand.
Okay, well, I'm definitely going to make a container for it and keep it on my person.
It does look like you can use magnetics to. It is magnetics. You can kind of use that to manipulate it and get it into there. And it's probably like this big. It's the size of a 45 for old people.
Okay.
Then let's come to Kyrie. What do we see about your activities during this time after this disturbance?
That sort of depends. Does Nikos talk about what he finds at all?
Yeah, what does Nico say?
Or is it like totally secret?
Are you contemplating, Stephen?
was distracted. Could you repeat?
Oh, that's okay. What does Nikos tell the crew?
Yeah, do you say anything about the data pad or the disk, either one?
Yeah, I think I mean, I described the data pad, but I don't think I show the disk to anyone except Kala. And I think I'm going to ask Kala what she makes of it, but
Gotcha.
I just have a feeling that it's something I should keep secret.
Then I think Kyrie is spending most of the trip like in prayer and meditation, trying to get control of himself after that whole ordeal, and I think he'll be trying to like focus and enforce that by tattooing in a new line of prayer on his skin. And I think for interaction, maybe at one point when he's doing that, he catches Recusant's attention, just because you had talked about like prayers and things from your old order, and I think Kyrie is muttering some prayer that you're familiar with just as you walk by.
Yeah, I think hearing a prayer from my old group, my old order, kind of like catches me off guard because I've been kind of wound up. Thanks, Kala. And I think I kind of like walk in, stomp in, I guess, and just go like, "Where did you hear that?"
I think you actually have to like get up and physically touch Kyrie before he jerks and the tattooing buzz sort of stops. And he looks up at you and says, What?
Oh, I think I bopped you with the data pad, which I still have.
Nice.
Where did you hear that prayer?
That was, and he's like looking at his arm for reference. That was a lost temple in a jungle somewhere. We were looking for a stone tablet. It was on the walls. It helps sometimes. They all help sometimes.
I think Recusant kind of like does the calculus in their head and says, "Well, I wish it was as lost as it could be, but it's not. It's still in use. It's." I think they kind of look around. They do look a bit jumpy.
In use? You know somewhere where it's... What is it? What does it mean?
Well, I guess I pretty much admitted it. Well, I pretty much said it out loud, did I? I think Recusant's suddenly really annoyed that they mentioned it out loud to someone. What do you know about the assassin?
Is it a common knowledge thing at all?
They're more rumor than anything else, I believe.
Well, I mean, every planet has their boogeymen. And I guess kids have to be kept in line somehow.
Kids, politicians, religious leaders, thieves, and you name something that gets out of line. The assassin comes to keep them in line. I think they're tapping the data pad on their hand now.
So, what is this prayer to you then?
It's a warning to those who would hear it, to those who would see it. It's precaution. It tells people exactly who the assassin is and what they do. And if you hear that prayer and proceed to do otherwise, then the sin was on you for not listening.
I think he's still running his finger down his arm where that tattooed line is, and he just looks at you and says, "Should I take warning against you?"
I think there's probably like a far too long pause pause that's far too long to be comfortable. And Narkeesan says, No. No, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just someone with very sticky fingers.
And I'm just someone with a confusing relationship with religion. Just simple, everyday people on a ship, right?
Yeah. Practically normal.
Let me cut from that to Kala. What are you up to? You've been shown the data pad and you've been quietly told about the disk.
Yeah, I think she kind of goes back, and it's like she's thinking about is that completely frictionless disk? Is that a significant thing? Is that like an impossible thing, or is it a technology that they've seen?
Frictionless is possible. It's certainly possible, but one of the things about frictionless things, especially over time, is that that wears out.
Okay.
And as old as this thing is, that frictionless surface should not be as frictionless as it is. Because this when you kind of look and do the simple dating thing on it, yeah, it's certainly pre first comer civilization. It is not manufactured here.
Okay.
It definitely is in the ancients, and it ought to, just by nature of the breakdown of materials over time.
So it's an immortal frictionless disk.
Yes.
Is there anything in the faith that could be a reference to that by allegory or by explicit mention?
Let me have you. No, we'll tell you. You have seen in some imagery like old things of like a stack of golden discs
Interesting.
that have signs and sigils on them, almost like a prayer wheel.
Okay. And so does this have those sigils on it?
No, there are no signs or sigils on it.
So if someone had a prayer wheel and the wheel had no signs or sigils, what would that be denoting? Would that be...
It may be the signs and sigils only appear when the prayer wheel is complete.
Or it might be that they only show when it's spinning.
That's also a possibility.
So I will give it that careful test. See if I can see anything.
I think when you spin it, and one of the things is you can put your finger in the center with that divot and spin it. And while you won't see anything visible, it's clear that whatever is encased in this, like there's definitely some change in the fields and the sort of the intrinsic field around it. So the spinning does do something.
And in the old texts and the illustrations, how many of these are in the stack typically?
There are 5 in a stack.
Right. So she will carefully package that away, and she will tell the captain that this is probably part of a prayer wheel. And what was the role that those things had? Were they to open a thing?
See, this is an old thing, and you're not sure. I mean, where it's not entirely clear to you where they got these prayer wheels, or were they relics from something else. That's something you're going to need to look into.
It's definitely a tech, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Let's do end of session. And we're going to take up next time at Coriolis. We'll talk about the ship and ship maintenance and all of that stuff. There is a thing called the Nemesis fuse. Each session, when you complete a contract, I put a little burn on the fuse to count down for your Nemesis coming, because we talked about that being the ship's thing. We'll also talk about, make some choices next time about some ship's modules that we're going to modify to finish out your ship, since we've just kind of got a very basic version of that. And we'll also, you'll get paid for this job next time as well. But let's do the end of session. And there are 3 questions that we answer as a group. Did you complete a mission or contract? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Did you learn something new and important about the universe? Okay. Yes.
Yeah. It's a weird fucking place, and everyone's out to get us.
Did you make a new enemy or thwart an existing thwart? That word always sounds weird when you say it out loud. And did you thwart an existing enemy? Oh, I think you made new enemies.
Yeah, we made a fun
off
new
the
enemy of the
darkness.
dark.
Look at that. That's 3 XP right there.
Woo.
And then I'm going to ask each of you, Captain, did one or more of your hooks create problems for you?
I would say so.
Okay. Then mark an XP. What about you, Recusant? Did one or more of your hooks cause a problem for you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll
problems.
We'll work that out next time. Do you think, Patrick, that one or more of your hooks cause problems?
No, I was really very level-headed. It didn't really do it. Yeah, I think
Okay.
definitely let the dark in.
And now I've heard "let the sunshine in" with that phrasing in my head. And what about you, Kala?
No, mine are external, and I'll have to work hard and figure out who they are to get them to you.
Okay. And don't forget, we can check in if you want to change one of those to get a more internal one. We can check in the next session.
Prompt myself.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
All right. That's where we're going to stop. We are playing next week. This is during the Gauntlet Con. Just so everybody to remind you of that. Just because I had to schedule that out to try and get the sessions in. So we will do that. I am going to go ahead and stop the recording.